I think after he got super, super famous from the first Deadpool, then things kind of changed. I think he was like, see, you guys see. And then I think I don't know. I mean, would I work with him again? No.
No.
I would not work with him
That
again.
much vitriol.
The Hollywood tea is boiling over today. After years of playing nice, Hugh Jackman isn't buying the friendly banter act anymore. He's done covering for Ryan Reynolds. Hugh is finally exposing how Reynolds has been straight up tormenting people behind the scenes. And it's not just him. Word is, Ryan's bad behavior has been wrecking the piece for makeup artists, co-stars, and even directors. Ryan's been throwing tantrums, making outrageous career threats, and flashing a whole different side of himself when the cameras stop rolling. The big question is, what exactly did Ryan do that was so out of line? And why has Hugh finally decided this is the moment to speak up? Could this be the move that finally shatters Reynolds' nice guy image after all the Blake Lively drama? Let's get into the dirt because this is where things get nasty. Sources say Ryan Reynolds acts like he has the power to erase people's entire careers whenever they don't bow down to his every demand. A shocking revelation spilled to Fox News claims Reynolds once threatened a makeup artist's career just because they weren't available for reshoots. Can you believe that? Insiders say Reynolds told the artist they'd be fired off the project and even warned, "If you don't come back and do my makeup, you'll never work in Hollywood again." That's not just diva behavior. That's straight up career blackmail. And get this, the makeup artist wasn't even slacking. They were literally out of the country on another project like any professional would be. The wildest part, studio executives couldn't do a thing about it. Sources confirmed Fox execs were furious but helpless because by then, Ryan Reynolds had taken full control of the film. That's the kind of unchecked power that can ruin lives, and Hugh calling him out might be the start of something big. This is the type of power-hungry behavior that screams insecurity. A truly confident man doesn't have to threaten people's careers just to feel important. But here's the kicker. It's not new. Word is, Ryan's been pulling these toxic moves for years, and Hugh Jackman has had a front row seat. While filming Deadpool and Wolverine, Hugh allegedly dealt with Ryan's controlling ways over and over again. At first, Hugh went along with the playful Feud act for the cameras, but insiders say he's officially done with Reynolds' behind-the-scenes antics. One source even dropped a bombshell. Jackman is lined up to be deposed in the messy legal war between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. And trust me, that's the last thing Ryan wants. If this goes to trial, Hugh will be deposed. There's no way around it, the insider revealed. And that's massive because Hugh knows all the secrets. He's been in Ryan's circle for years, and once he's under oath, he might have to spill everything he's seen. No wonder Reynolds is sweating bullets right now. And get this, Ryan's bullying ways don't stop with makeup artists. He allegedly muscled out a whole director from the Deadpool franchise. Yep, we're talking about Tim Miller, the man who directed the original movie that resurrected Reynolds' career. But when it came time for the sequel, Miller was nowhere in sight. Why? Because Ryan wanted every ounce of creative control. Even Miller later admitted it became clear that Ryan wanted to be in control of the franchise. Then he added, he simply couldn't work like that. Translation, Reynolds was such a nightmare behind the scenes that the director of a billion-dollar hit would rather walk away than deal with his ego again. That's not just a creative difference, that's pure Hollywood drama. That's a giant red flag about Ryan's character. And here's where the story gets downright messy. Since Ryan now has full creative control of Deadpool, he basically calls all the shots. Whatever he wants, everyone else has to roll with it, or else. But fans started noticing something shady about the nice pool character, the cleaner, friendlier version of Deadpool. Was this just harmless fun, or a low-key way for Ryan to throw shade? You be the judge! Either way, this dragged Hugh Jackman right into the chaos. As Wolverine, Hugh had to stand by while Reynolds allegedly used their movie as a personal revenge tool. If the nice pool character was really a dig at Justin Baldoni, then the entire set knew exactly what was happening. That meant Hugh was forced to be part of what looked like straight-up workplace bullying dressed up as comedy.
And I think it's weird that he hates me. And
Well,
I
how
think,
do you
and
know?
I think some
Do you-
people.
do you know he hates
We
you?
had a really weird moment on Deadpool where he said, "Let's do one more take," and everyone was like, "Okay," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then as the character, he was like horrifically mean to me, but to me.
Insiders say Hugh was deeply uncomfortable with it, especially since he personally had no issues with Baldoni. But because Reynolds had seized full control, Hugh had no choice but to play along or risk being iced out of the project completely. That's not collaboration, that's intimidation. And don't think Reynolds only bullies people behind the camera. His co-stars have been catching the same treatment for years. Look at Morena Baccarin, the female lead from the first Deadpool. Notice how she was basically erased in the sequel? That wasn't by accident. It was Ryan's call. Instead of handling creative disagreements like a pro, insiders say Reynolds cut her out of the spotlight completely. One crew member even spilled that Ryan dismissed her as overbearing, so she got sidelined from promos and pushed into the background. That's not just petty, it's flat-out retaliation. And it proves exactly how Reynolds deals with anyone who dares to cross him. And let's be real, being cut out like that can wreck an actor's career. Publicity is everything in Hollywood, and Morena wasn't the only one Reynolds pulled this on. Enter TJ Miller, who played Weasel in Deadpool. Unlike Morena, TJ actually came forward and aired out Reynolds' dirty laundry, and he didn't hold back. Miller flat out said Ryan was genuinely mean to him, and not in some playful way either. He recalled a humiliating moment on set where Reynolds mocked him in front of the entire crew. Ryan reportedly told him, "You know what's great about you, Weasel? You're not the star, but you do just enough exposition to be funny. Then we can move on to the real movie." That's not banter. That's cruelty dressed up as comedy. This is textbook bullying, using power to tear people down just to puff up his own ego. And the wild part? Hugh Jackman likely saw it all up close. Insiders say Hugh kept quiet for a long time, but he's been more and more unsettled by how Reynolds mistreats colleagues. The contrast is clear. Hugh maintains solid relationships across Hollywood, while Ryan keeps burning bridges left and right. And speaking of scorched bridges, what about Jake Gyllenhaal? These two were once inseparable, joking around in interviews and selling the Best Buddies act. But now, Jake won't even acknowledge Reynolds. Something went down, something big, and it's left Jake completely done with him. During a recent interview when Gyllenhaal was asked about Ryan, his whole vibe went cold. And when pressed, he shut it down completely, refusing to talk about their so-called friendship. That's not normal at all. Not for friends, not even for ex-friends. Word is, the fallout traces back to their time together on the 2017 sci-fi film Life, and whatever happened there clearly left lasting scars. After that project, Jake and Ryan's so-called friendship mysteriously crumbled. And many believe it's because Jake finally saw the real Ryan during filming and decided to cut him off completely. Another cast member from the same movie, Rebecca Ferguson, also hinted at having a nightmare experience with a co-star she described as insecure and angry.
I did a film with an absolute idiot of a co-star. And this human being was being so insecure and angry because this person couldn't get the scenes out.
She never named names, but let's be real. The timeline and cast list point straight at Reynolds. Ferguson eventually stood her ground, but it says a lot that she even had to. And Hugh Jackman, after working so closely with Reynolds, has no doubt seen this exact behavior himself.
This person would literally look at me in front of the whole crew and say, "You call yourself an actor, this is what I have to work with. What is this?" And I would cry walking.
Just look back at that cringeworthy promotional skit for It Ends With Us. The bit had nothing to do with the actual movie, yet Hugh was dragged into it, forced to play along with Reynolds' mean-spirited digs at Justin Baldoni. In the clip, Hugh delivered lines that were clearly designed to embarrass Baldoni. That put him in a deeply uncomfortable spot, basically being weaponized in Ryan's personal vendetta.
No. It's not every day a guy gets to interview the love interest of his best friend's wife, and the guy trying to replace Ryan as a husband and me as his best mate.
Holy shit.
I've never done an interview before, but I've done a lot of things, like crazy things in Australia. You do understand you can't even get into preschool unless you take a person's life with your own bare hands. Twice.
Totally.
So listen, I've just got one question. What the hell are you doing messing with my best buddy's wife?
And all of this, while a serious film about sensitive themes was overshadowed by petty Hollywood drama. To make it worse, Hugh was reportedly pressured into showing up at the It Ends With Us premiere, a film he wasn't even part of, just to back Reynolds and Lively. Meanwhile, Baldoni himself was allegedly kept out of sight, told to arrive early just to avoid running into the Reynolds-Lively circle. That's not just shady, it's manipulative power play politics at its finest. Hugh was dragged into this power game without even realizing it, and now insiders say he deeply regrets ever being involved. But here's the real breaking point. Hugh just found out he could be deposed in the legal war circling Reynolds, Blake Lively, and Justin Baldoni. That leaves him trapped in an impossible choice. Either he tells the truth about Ryan's behavior and destroys their so-called friendship for good, or he lies under oath to cover for him. Neither option is appealing, and Hugh is said to be furious that Reynolds' mess has put him in this nightmare position. What's becoming harder to ignore is that the funny, charming Ryan Reynolds we all see in interviews may just be a polished mask. Behind the scenes, sources claim he's insecure, controlling, and straight up vindictive. Even Scarlett Johansson, his ex-wife, has dropped hints about his passive-aggressive jealousy during their marriage. And she's not the only one. Alanis Morissette, another ex, turned her breakup with Reynolds into an entire album. Her hit You Oughta Know carried haunting lyrics about insecurity and devastation, lines that fans have long connected to her time with Ryan. If you listen closely, the word insecure keeps echoing, and it's a word that comes up again and again from people who've known him personally. That insecurity seems to fuel his bullying behavior, targeting anyone who might overshadow him. Look at the timing. His marriage to Scarlett reportedly crumbled right as her career skyrocketed, and not long after, he latched onto Blake Lively. At that moment, Blake was still shaking off her Gossip Girl image, working to establish herself in serious roles, meaning she wasn't yet a threat to Ryan's ego. That's not romance, that's strategy. This same toxic pattern keeps showing up in Ryan's professional relationships. And now, with Hugh Jackman preparing to possibly testify about Reynolds' behavior, Hollywood is on edge. The timing couldn't be worse for Ryan since his wife Blake Lively is already knee-deep in her own PR disaster with the Baldoni lawsuit. What's wild is that both Blake and Ryan are now facing nearly identical accusations, controlling, manipulative, and difficult to work with, while still putting on that picture-perfect Hollywood sweethearts act in public. As one insider bluntly put it, they want to put the genie back in the bottle, but guess what? The genie does not want to go back in the bottle. Their carefully polished image as Hollywood's golden couple is cracking wide open. Meanwhile, Hugh Jackman is focused on moving forward with his life. After splitting from his wife of 27 years, he's now linked to his Broadway co-star Sutton Foster. Some question if it's real or just another PR move, but one thing's clear: Hugh is done playing Ryan's games. The so-called bromance that once entertained fans is now exposed as toxic and one-sided. Hugh finally sees Ryan for who he truly is, and with him possibly spilling everything under oath, Reynolds' days of bullying co-stars and controlling movie sets might be numbered. And with more ex-collaborators daring to speak out, the nice guy facade is collapsing faster than ever. So what do you think of these bombshell revelations? Are you rocking with Team Hugh or Team Ryan? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this video with your crew. This Hollywood storm is only getting started, and trust me, we'll be right here bringing you every update.